Hello everyone, Lisa here for the Graphics Fairy. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be sharing some of my favorite tips and tricks for creating beautiful junk journal page layouts. Some of these I learned when I worked in interior design. I've noticed that some of the same principles that we used to create a beautiful room also applied to creating a beautiful junk journal page. So I thought I would share these with you. They're just little tips and tricks. They're definitely not rules. Okay, so with that in mind, here we go. Okay, tip number one is choose a theme or some images that you want to include in your journal. I knew I wanted to include this bicycle design that I created, so I went to the Graphics Fairy membership site and the free Graphics Fairy blog, and I looked for some other bicycle themed images. And I printed out a bunch without any particular arrangement in mind or plan in mind. Just get a bunch of pieces together to work with. And also find a background image if you would like to use one. Tip number two is repetition. Repeat colors and repeat elements. The human eye loves repetition, so I always try to include it on my page. And I often use another interior design principle here. That is a large pattern, a small pattern, and a geometric or a striped pattern always work together, especially if they have one common color in all three. So this is something that we often use in interior design, and this is an example of it in this junk journal page that I did. Another principle of repetition is the rule of threes. You may have heard of this one. It's that the eye finds it very appealing to have three objects repeated. And so here's a little card I did. I did 3 buttons. I could have done 2 or 1, but for some reason the human eye really likes 3, so I will try to incorporate that in my designs as well. Tip number 3, I call bridge the gap. Let's say that you have several elements that you want to use, but you're finding that they don't quite go together. For example, I had picked out this pretty robin's egg blue paper for this page for the background, but I wanted to incorporate this bicycle image, and it just didn't quite look right on the robin's egg blue. So what I did was I found this paper that contains both the robin's egg blue and the darker, almost navy blue, and I used that on the page, and that helps bridge the gap. In interior design, we would do this if a client, let's say, had a brown couch that they had inherited that they wanted to use, and they had just purchased a new gray chair. We'd look for a fabric that had brown and gray in it and make throw pillows or drapes out of that fabric, and that would bring those two elements together and make the entire room work together. So it's the same concept, and I call it bridging the gap. Number 4, that is vary your image sizes. I like to use large, medium, small, and even tiny elements on the page. Don't forget the tiny elements. They're almost like little treasures or Easter eggs for the viewer to find. Number 5, vary the style of your images. If you have some very bold, straight-lined images, I like to also include more organic lines like this fabric and delicate patterns. I kind of tend to think of these as masculine and feminine, and I like to find a balance between the two. Number 6, vary the edges of your images. You can see that some of these are cut and some of them are torn, and some, like the little stamp, I have cut with craft paper edging scissors. And you can buy these usually in a bunch, and they'll have a bunch of different designs. You can see this one, it has the design on the blade. They're very inexpensive, and you just cut like this. You can get all kinds of interesting edges. So I like to try to combine several of those on a page. Here's another journal that I did where I have a torn edge here, straight edge here, and a fussy cut image is always nice to add. and a torn edge here. So a combo is usually really pleasing to the eye. Number 7, consider the direction of the images. I like to kind of have a combination of very straight, squared images like this one, and then some that are angled. You can, of course, do page layouts. Let's see, this one that I showed you before. This one is all straight. And there is also an option where you just sort of throw everything down. It's almost as if they had fallen on the page, and that works too. So once again, not a hard and fast rule, but just in general, I like to sort of have some squared up images and then some angled images as well, a little combo. Number 8, overlap the images. I kind of like to have the majority of them touching, even if it's only a little bit, like this one here and this one, and then maybe one, maybe two that are just floating by themselves. I don't know why, it's just something that seems to work for me. I almost feel like they just need to touch a little bit most of the time. Again, it's all about balance. Number 9 is leave some white space, which in this case is actually blue space. By this I mean leave a little breathing room around the images. It gives a place for your eye to rest. Look how much this little finger pops because it has that little space around it. So you kind of want a combo of images that are clustered and then some that have a bit of the background or the white space peeking through. Number 10 is probably my favorite. It is add 3D elements. You want to include some little embellishments that give the page design some dimension. And what I like to do is keep a little box where I keep an assortment of things that I've gathered from around the house. Look in your jewelry box, your sewing box, your junk drawer. Maybe you have some family documents. I wouldn't suggest cutting those up, but you can make a color photocopy of them and use that in your journal. Maybe cut out the stamp or use a photocopy of an envelope in your design. Once you have that little box started and you have this in the back of your mind, you'll start to notice things around the house that you can include in your box. And those 3D elements here, I have this little metal, this is a tobacco tag. I have a collection of these. So that is part of my design. I often will add a button, lace, all of those kind of objects really help to give your layout some depth. Number 11, include pockets, envelopes, or tuck spots where paper can be added and removed. In this journal, I did this little pocket where I can tuck the magnet in, and this kind of, it's like an interactive element almost. It's so appealing, and it's kind of like a little secret that the creator and the viewer share, I think. So it's fun to always try to include little pockets or tuck spots. Here is another one I did with the hot air balloon page. And here is another one. This little baby page, I did a little postcard pocket. So I always try to include one of those. And number 12, the last tip, add something unexpected. An unexpected color or object, it helps keep the page from looking like you stuck to a formula. So for example, if I just throw this kind of strange yellow color in, it really adds interest, something unexpected. Likewise, the little dragonfly on the finger is kind of whimsical and unexpected, especially in a bicycle layout. So don't be afraid to try different things and have fun with it. And I know that we have some very talented, creative viewers that watch, so please share your own tips and tricks in the comments so that we can all learn from each other. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and hit the bell if you'd like to get text notifications whenever we post a new video. And thanks so much for watching. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.